Rassie Rasmus has just dropped the 23-man Springbok side to face Australia, and it's a little bit confusing because it's a Monday and I got a notification on my phone that Rassie Rasmus has dropped the Springbok squad. Not exactly sure what he's playing at. Maybe he was just a little bit bored that there wasn't rugby on over the past few weeks, and now we have something to talk about. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and as always, leave this video a like. Now let's get into it. So this is the team that Rassie Rasmus has selected to play Australia. And to be honest, in my prediction video a couple of days ago, we got the team pretty close. A lot of our thinking was spot on, and then he's obviously thrown some surprises in. So I think the first surprise that we called was a 5-3 bench split, and I think that's only because Rassie Rasmus is still trying to figure out the correct combinations in that back line ahead of the New Zealand test at Eden Park and Wellington. But let's go through this side. Front row, Oxenchair, Malcolm Marx, Volkolo. Now, I thought that Rassie would potentially start Asenati and Klabakanye just because it is at Ellis Park, it is his home ground, and he did perform quite well in those test matches he started against the Barbarians and Italy. He's obviously gone with the experience of Ox and Malcolm. My only real concern here is, when are we going to rest Ox? Because he started the majority of the games against the Barbarians and Italy and Georgia. I'm just wondering when we're going to rest him, because I know Rassie Rasmus did say at the beginning of the season that each player won't play more than 8 or 9 caps this year, and he's really going to try and spread out the depth. But it's clear to see who our front runner is in that number 1 jersey, and that's Ox. Malcolm Marx in that 2 jersey. I was thinking maybe Rassie would start Bongi just to give him a little bit of confidence going into the Rugby Championship. Malcolm Marx has been performing phenomenally well, and Bongi hasn't exactly been at his best in those first 4 test matches for the Springboks. And then Volkolo in that number 3 jersey. So, I mean, that kind of paints the picture for you. Rassie Rasmus wants to put Australia under pressure at scrum time, get some go forward ball, get some early penalties, put them into the corner and maul them over the line. So very, very strong front row. Then into the lock combinations. And there were a lot of lock combinations that Rassie could have gone for, but this is the exact lock combination that we predicted he would go for. Obviously, Eben Etzebeth in that 4 jersey. Again, we need to give these guys game time going into those New Zealand tests. So Rassie Rasmus, I think, for our next game against Australia at Loftus, that'll be, I think, a very similar side that's going to be taking on the All Blacks at Eden Park. So you obviously have to have Eben there. And then that 5 jersey has been quite a big discussion point lately, as Ruan Nokia is probably the most informed number 5 in the Springbok jersey at the moment, and he was last year as well. So he could have started. You got Archie Snyman, who's maybe been a little bit quiet in the Springbok jersey, but we do know that Rassie likes to bring him on off the bench. You've got Kobus Visser, who can play lock, can play flank, and now can also play 8 apparently for the Springboks. And then you've also got the likes of a Markov and Franco Mostert, who can fit into that lock as well as flanker position. But Eben and Luet, I mean, 2 massive ball carriers. I'm just hoping that the line-out functions as well as it does when Ruan Nokia is on the pitch. Then into the loose forward trio, and a couple of surprises here. There was a lot of discussion around who's going to wear that number 8 jersey, with Jasper Visser out on that red card band. You've got Cameron Hanekom and Ulrich Loh still injured. Joarno Augustus was meant to come into the fray, but he also got injured. So now we really only have Jean-Luc Depree. Evan Roos didn't get called up, and Kobus Visser. I thought Jean-Luc Depree was going to start and we would have had Sia at 6. But Rassie Rasmus is trying Sia at 8. And to be honest, I don't mind it, because Sia plays 8 for the Sharks. Marco van Staden at 6 has performed quite well for the Springboks over those first 4 games. And then Peter Steph de Toy, no one's really going to take that jersey off of him. So while it is a very experienced trio, Sia coming on at 8 and captaining is something that we haven't necessarily seen in a Springbok jersey, but he does it all the time for the Sharks. I'll tell you why I also like Sia at 8 is because Grant Williams is playing 9. Sia and Grant play together at the Sharks, so that combination will be firing. And then interestingly, Rassie's gone for Mani Lebok. Now, my case to start Sasha Feinberg and Ngumazulu in this test match was because I do think he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder at the moment. He's got a point to prove, and I thought Rassie Rasmus was going to give him an opportunity in this test match to maybe go and show what he's been missing, especially in that Georgia test match, especially if he wants to play against the All Blacks. I thought Rassie would have given him an opportunity to go and show why he should be starting. But I don't mind Manie Libbok in that 10 jersey. There's been a lot of discussion of who should be playing in that 10 jersey. And to be honest, Manie is probably our number one rank at the moment in terms of form. And then Handre is definitely second. And then Sasha's probably sitting in that third spot. It is a hot take, but I do think Manie Libbok is in better form than Pollard and Sasha at the moment, and especially if he's kicking well. So 9 and 10 combination is fast, it's fiery, it's attacking rugby, and I think we're really going to take it to the Australians on Saturday. We then look at our outside backs. Let's start with the centers. Now, we predicted the centers and wings perfectly. Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel, and I think that's only because Damien Delende got sent home from training camp for a little bit because of a back spasm. We've got Jesse Kriel in that 13 jersey, and I see we have Kane and Moody on the bench, so it wouldn't surprise me to see Kane and Moody come on for Jesse Kriel, with Rassie Rasmus still trying to find out exactly what those best combinations are. And then Kurt Liorense and Edwil van der Merwe. Cheslin Kolbe is not playing because he did have a little bit of a tweak and only joined the training session or the training camp a little bit later. So I did think that they were going to be resting Cheslin Kolbe, and it helps that Edwil van der Merwe is in such good form at the moment. I mean, it's almost a like-for-like replacement with the form that Edwil's been in. So Kurtley and Edwil, and then 15, we've got Apelele Fassi. Again, that 15 jersey is very difficult to pick who's going to start. I was under the impression that maybe Rassie would have gone for Willie Leroux in this test match, as well as help the inexperience of if Sasha was starting. That was my case for why Willie Leroux should be starting, is because if Sasha starts, Willie should start. But I guess if Manie's starting, then Apelele Fassi is definitely the best option. So I think the starting 15 is a powerful, powerful team. I mean, you've got so many World Cup winners in there, but then you've also got people playing out of position. Sia, you've got Volko Lowe's been in incredible form for the Springboks as well as the Bulls. You've got Grant and Manie who connect really well, and then Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel, and then Apelele Fassi at 15. I mean, it's a very, very strong starting 15. Onto the bench. It's 5-3 bench split as we predicted. Bongi, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, and Asenat and Klabakanya to be the front row replacements. I mean, there's a case to be made that Jan-Hendrik Wessels should start next week against Australia to give Ox a little bit of a rest. There's a case for Marnus van der Merwe to be on the bench instead of Bongi, but I think Rassie's going to give Bongi probably 30 to 40 minutes, try get his confidence up a little bit as we get into this rugby championship. Then our replacement lock, Franco Mostert, who's also more of a utility, can slot in at lock, can also slot in on the flank. You got Kwagga Smith, who can play absolutely anywhere, and I think we're never going to see a bench without Kwagga Smith in this rugby championship. And I think there was also maybe a case for Kwagga to start at 8 in this game. But I think he's just cemented himself so much as an impact player coming off of the bench that it's going to be almost difficult to start him, because then we're not going to have that impact coming off of the bench. Then our 5-3 split is Kobus Reinach, Kane and Moody, and Damian Willemse. So it's going to be very interesting to see where they fit in. Obviously, Kobus will come on for Grant. Kane and Moody will probably come on for Jesse Kriel at 13, but he could also move into wing. And then you've got Damian Willemse. Does he come in at 15, or does he go into 10? And then we either take Manie Libbok off, or we shift Manie to 15. It's going to be interesting to see where Rassie sees Damian Willemse fitting in when he comes off on the bench. I would guess he's going to come in at 15, and Manie's probably going to play a full game against Australia. So that's the Springboks starting 23 to face Australia. The Rugby Championship is here. There's going to be a lot of content coming your guys' way. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.